killer, bloody somebody that protect my energy from your bad aura. Let my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go receive my rhythm, flow like a river. If you get sour, come on, go and sit down. I go just para, come off my jigger. I go just follow my dream. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, do not kill my vibe. Do not kill my vibe. You know fit kill. You know fit kill. You know fit kill my vibe.
London.
I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, them no fit kill my vibe. Them no fit kill my vibe. Them no fit kill. Them no fit kill. Them no fit kill my. Wise man said, follow the stars. There you shall find a piece of advice. If you hit your enemies, enemies shine. If you're not a friend of me, enter the light. Cause you can never kill my vibe. Got here with no sacrifices. Everything was taken, still had to make it. Vibe killer, me I no go take shit. Vibe killer, bloody somebody that protect my energy from your bad aura. Let my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go receive my rhythm, flow like a river. If you get sour, come on, go and sit down. I go just para, come off my jigger. I go just follow my dream. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, them no fit kill my vibe. Them no fit kill my vibe. You no fit kill. You no fit kill. You no fit kill my vibe. I see you watching my stories. I see you gauging my lifestyle. I see you watching my movements. This bad bitch bad every day. I know they look at your face. Bad man bad every day. Get on your knees and pray till you regain your faith. Bloody somebody that protect my energy from your bad aura. Let my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go receive my rhythm, flow like a river. If you get sour, come on, go and sit down. I go just para, come off my jigger. I go just follow my dream. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, don't fit kill my vibe. You no fit kill my vibe. You no fit kill. You no fit kill. You no fit kill my vibe.
Thanks again for making out time this month to join us in this edition of Sales Jojo. And Sales Jojo remains a platform for adding value to the sales community at large. With me today is our wonderful host, the convener of Sales Jojo, and also the CEO of Otis Bridge Consulting Limited. We also have two seasoned professionals in the house that will be tackling our topic, acing your next sales interview. Mr. Olubenga Johnson, you have the floor, and I'm sure you also do great justice in introducing our wonderful panelists today. Thank you.
Okay. I was muted. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome once again to another edition of Sales Jojo. My name is Benga Johnson, and I'm your host for today. For those of us that are joining us for the first time, like my colleague has rightly said, Sales Jojo.
We can't hear you, sir.
You know, it's a community. Concerns the salespeople. For us, we believe that the sales profession is just like every other profession. All right, you have doctors, you have lawyers, but I think the risk with the sales profession is because people don't go to the university to study sales. So every one of us, we either came from one background or the other. You either read sciences, or maybe you were also a doctor or a lawyer, and then eventually you find yourself, handling sales roles or doing, sales jobs. But the point is that it doesn't, negate the fact that this is a profession and it has to be handled professionally. All right. So I'd like to welcome each and every one of us once again to Sales Jojo. Like I said, we've been doing this for a couple of months, So my name is Benga Johnson, and like I said, Sales Jojo is a community of salespeople, a sales gathering, virtual meeting that we have, organized for a couple of months. And the idea for us is to see how we can, help the sales community to get better. So I was saying that, a lot of people are in other professions. There are lawyers, there are doctors, and people consider those ones as the people in those sectors as professionals. But people in the sales industry, people who are selling, are also professionals, despite the fact that we came from different backgrounds. You were either a science student in the university, or you studied, or maybe you were even a lawyer, and then eventually you found yourself selling one service or the other. So, so that's where we are. But for us, we believe that we can do things better. We can improve the lot of people. We can help people to be able to perform better and of course grow in their career. So we have been doing this for a couple of months. I guess we started in 2019, and then of course we have tried every month to do this. And then we have been privileged to have people from all across the world come around and talk to us, on different topics that are related to sales. All right, so so today is no exception. The topic that we have for today is very interesting, and it's a topic that we didn't just pick from the blues. For reason of what we do, I guess in the course of this year, I've had privilege of being asked to recommend people for certain roles. And for me, for someone like me, that I believe that when I recommend people for positions, it also affects, it also has a lot to do with my personality. So I don't recommend people for positions that I don't think they can perform. So, and then eventually people come back and say, oh, I didn't hear from them. They didn't get back to me. I wasn't called up for the position. And I wonder what happened. And I realized that even from my own personal experience, there are things that happen during interviews, but I don't want people to pass through that experience again this year. Once you are called for a job opportunity, a job opening, it means that somehow you are seen to be qualified for that position. And then of course, the whole job rests in your hand to be able to convince the people in the panel, the interview panel, that you are capable of doing this job. So today, this is not my space, all right? Even though I've had the privilege of interviewing people in one or two, a couple of instances, but I have two astute professionals, people that I respect so much, who are going to be doing this for us. So in one of my LinkedIn posts, I said that now is the time to interview the interviewers. So we're going to put them on the hot seat. So please, we have some questions already. And then, of course, when we get to the point, we will ask people to, ask questions. But there are a list of questions, quite a number of them, that we received from people who registered earlier for the program. Then let me also let us know there are two guests for today. So I'm going to bring on my brother. Emmanuel Michael first. But let me also inform us that Mrs. Modupe Bankole called in a few minutes ago that she needs to be in a meeting very urgently. So I'm sure when she comes in, but definitely she's going to be part of this today. So once she's done at the meeting, she's going to join in, and then of course I will be on the lookout for her so that I can bring her home. So first, but let me bring in Emmanuel. And before I just bring him on, please, I would like all of us to help me wish him a happy birthday. Today is Emmanuel's birthday. I'm sure you can see the picture that we have put up. Can you see that? Yes. So yeah, so today is his birthday, and you know, and sometimes people on people's birthday they want to have a quiet time. So when we pulled him out of his, you know, of his birthday today, and you know, and he's doing this for us, so we are so grateful. Please, everyone, please, if you can put on your camera or your microphone, please help me wish him a happy birthday while I read his.
Happy birthday, sir.
Happy birthday, Mr. Emmanuel. Happy birthday, sir.
Yes.
Emmanuel, happy birthday.
All right. Okay, so let me do that quickly. So Emmanuel Michael, I'm sure those of us that are very, conversant with LinkedIn will know him. He's a celebrity HR, okay? The man who is globally recognized by LinkedIn and quite a number of professional bodies. So Emmanuel Michael is a leadership and career success coach. He's a seasoned and highly sought after multiple award-winning strategic business leader with over 2 decades management experience, spanning various industries such as multidisciplinary engineering, information technology, hospitality, and financial services, of which over 17 years has been in human resources management and practice. I'm sure he must have sold at some point. He's going to tell us because everybody's supposed to be a salesman, all right? So between March and August 2017, he held forth as the interim CEO and head of HR at Let She Go. I like to call it Let She Go, but I'm sure he will tell us, you know, the correct pronunciation. Let She Go FMB Microfinance Bank, a national microfinance bank in Nigeria. He is currently the head of people and culture at Let She Go Nigeria. Emmanuel is also the founder and host of Human Resources with EL, Emotional Intelligence, a platform to connect, learn, and share on everything leadership, career development, employee experience. Is foundly called, I told you, the HR celebrity by the Nigerian HR community. Please help me welcome Emmanuel. He's going to take some time to talk to us about this. Then I'm sure if Mrs. Bankole comes on, then we'll bring her on, and then we'll be able to go to the question and answer session. So thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Wenga Johnson, for that brief intro. And I also want to thank everyone on the call. I can see we are almost 21 and the number is climbing. I want to thank all of you for wishing me a very happy birthday. My prayer is that each and every one of us on this call will also be blessed. New things will continue to happen to us just as it keeps happening to me, in Jesus' name. Okay, we're not in the church, so let me just move on. So if you can all hear me clearly, please type in a yes on the chat box. Kumi, thank you very much. I can see some are sending me some private messages. Thank you very much. So I'm seeing all the messages in the chat box. So let's use the chat box. If everybody can hear me clearly, loud and clear. So let's say yes, 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 yes. Okay. Good. So we expect more people to join us. So for those of us who are on this call, I would like to know where we're joining from. So just put, what I want you to do for me is to say, my name is Emmanuel Michael. I'm joining you from Lagos. I'm a sales manager or I'm an HR manager. Let's get to see the kind of people we have on the call. Okay, so let's do that quickly. Name, where you're joining from and what you do. Your name, where you're joining from and what you do. Okay, I can see all the way from Ghana. So Johnson, we're having people outside Nigeria, that's good. Okay, yes, who else is there? Only one person. The rest, are you shy to introduce yourself? As salespeople, we should not be shy to introduce ourselves. Salespeople are outspoken. They need to be able to say something. So I can see Port Harcourt, Lagos, Kumi, yeah, Lagos, Ibadan. Wow, Ibadan, good. Ilorin, great. So we're really spreading across, which is good, which is good. Jos, wow, all the way from the north. That's good. Good, good. Lagos, Kingsley, Lagos, I can see you. Okay, so while the introduction is going on, the topic is acing your sales interview, right? So we're assuming that you are a salesperson who has applied for a job and you want to make sure that you clinch that particular job. So what do you do, or what should you do to make sure that you get that job? And you're looking for the tips. What are the secrets? Like Johnson had said, we're interviewing the interviewer. So I'm just going to share 8 tips. Okay, 8 tips. Then at the end of the sharing that 8 tips, things that you can apply that will help you ace any interview, whether as a sales manager or any other job role that you are applying for. These tips will always work for you, okay, if you apply them. And so that's what I'm going to share. Then after that, we'll then answer your questions. Will they answer your questions? Okay. So let me start by saying, first of all, that interview. What is the purpose of interview? Let's start by looking at why do people go for interviews, or why do organizations set up interviews? One major thing is that the challenge that organizations have is to hire the right person. So you could put up an advert and then people apply. Ordinarily, you expect that from those who apply, that you can just pick one of them and give the person the job. But the purpose of interview is actually to look through all the people who you think can do the job, and then you speak to them in order to understand if they can really do the job. Because sometimes people will tell you they can do this job, but in actual fact, they can't do much, okay? So that's one purpose of interview. And then the other thing we've also found out is that candidates, when going for interview, when you get that email that you've been invited for an interview, some
We can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, better now. Yes.
Okay, so I guess I touched the control button. Let me keep the control button away from me. Okay, so I was saying that it's like when you want to write an exam, okay? You've done all the reading, you've prepared, and today is the exam day. So usually what happens is that you tell that people will start having that fear that, am I going to make it? Do I know enough to enable me succeed in the exam? So that's the same fear that those who go for interviews face, okay? We call that interview phobia, okay? So that's the term for it, interview phobia. So you are afraid. So I'm going to share with us exactly what we need to do. So the first tip that works, okay, that has worked for me and has worked for many other people, or as HR managers, what we expect is that you need to get hold of the job description for that particular job role. You know, sometimes when organizations advertise, they will indicate that they are looking for people to occupy a particular role. So sometimes what they do is to just provide a brief summary of what the job role is all about, what you need to accomplish. So it's good for you to request for the job description. Job description will give you a detailed information about what the job role, the job's responsibility for the job. Okay, first of all, you have a summary of what the job role is expected to accomplish. You now see a detailed responsibility. You also see the skills that are required. You see the kind of experiences, the person specification. What kind of person are they looking for? What sort of experience, what sort of educational experience do they have? What sort of skills will someone who is going to succeed on that job role, what should they have? So the job description is number one. So if you get an invite, you're invited to a job interview and there's no job description, respond to that invite, asking them to provide you with a job description. So that's the first thing. When you get the job description, I'm moving now to tip number 2. You need to study that job description. Study it as if you're going to write an exam, okay? Because that is the basis for which you would use to convince the recruiter that you are qualified for that particular job, okay? Study it very well, look at what is required, look at the person specification, okay? When you've done that, when you've done all the study, you've reviewed it, you've understood everything that is written in that particular job description very well, we move to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is that you will pick that job description, okay? Just like when you are studying for an exam, or maybe you want to write an essay, an academic essay, what do? You begin to underline things, make notes against each of the points and say, okay, this is the point that you're going to focus on. So what you do with the job description is that you look through all that is written, the job responsibility. Against each one, use that job description to assess yourself, okay? Determine whether you are expected to carry out a particular task. You then need to ask yourself, have I done this thing before? If I have done it before, you need to use what I call the STAR framework or the STAR model. STAR stands for S is for situation, the T is for task, A is for the action, and then the R is for results. So let me take that again. STAR. S is for situation, T is for task, A is for action, and R is for results. So pick each of the tasks or responsibility. Examine yourself or assess yourself, and then try to find out is there a particular time that you found yourself in a situation where you need to carry out that particular responsibility. So try to describe that situation or the task that you were given. What action did you take and what was the outcome? So the outcome is the result. So for each of them, make sure you have a note that talks about the situation you were in or the task that you were given, the action that you took, and the results, the outcome of your action. That is what the interviewer is interested in. You know, when we hire people, we hire them for the value that they will contribute to the organization. And so when you come to me and you say you have 10 years, 15 years, 20 years experience, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't mean anything to me, okay? What is valuable for me is that within that your 20 years, what did you contribute to the organization that you were working for? What tangible things can we see? You know, not that you were just there for 10 years, for 20 years, and we can't say this is exactly what you contributed. We can't measure it in Naira and Kobo. Okay, we should be able to measure it. If we can't measure it, then it means that you just wasted your time. You just sat through that particular period. You know, that's why sometimes when people say, I've worked in this organization for 5 years, they've not promoted me. For 10 years, they've not promoted me. And this person just came, he has just worked 3 years or 4 years, he has received 2 promotions. You need to ask yourself, what is that person doing that I'm not doing? Okay, so that's tip number 3. Make a note against each of the responsibility with an example of how you have accomplished that particular responsibility in the past. You will need it during the interview. Then tip number 4. Tip number 4 says, make a note against each of the specifications. Now, you know, we've talked about responsibility. You now move to the person specification. Okay, there are specifications that will say maybe you need to have a degree in a certain field. You need to check, do I have that degree in that field? You need to have a particular skill. Maybe they need Excel skills. Excuse me. Maybe they need Excel skills, okay? So you need to check, do I have Excel skill? At what level is my Excel skill? Is it elementary, intermediate, or advanced? So make a note against each of the person specification, state how you meet those requirements, okay? That's tip number 4. Tip number 5 now, when you come to the interview, most times, the first question that you get asked is, tell me about yourself. And people get confused. How do I answer this particular question? Someone will start telling you, my name is this, I was born in 19 so, to a family of this, we have 5 in our family, 1 boy, 2 boys, 1 girl, I'm the first. Oh, that is not what the interviewer is looking for, okay? When they ask you the question, tell me about yourself, the interviewer wants you to tell them or tell him or her about your work experience. Not just any work experience, but the work experience that is relevant to this post. So if I take example of myself now, before I moved into HR, I did so many other things. So if I'm applying for the role of HR, I won't go and start talking about when I was a stenographer. I don't know if any of you know who a stenographer is. Do we know who a stenographer is? Let me see in the chat box. Do you know who a stenographer is? I trained as a stenographer. But I don't think there are stenographers anymore. I think that the profession has wiped off. Does anybody know who a stenographer is? Nobody. Okay, if you don't know, type a no. Let me see. Let me see how many no's there. If anyone knows who a stenographer is, type a yes. No, nobody knows. Okay, so that's the assignment for this class. At the end of this session, go and look at who is it. Okay, one person knows. It's about shorthand. I'm sure you will have Googled it. Transcriber, you will have Googled it. So stenographers, that's the assignment. Go and research who a stenographer is and then share on LinkedIn about the outcome of your research. Tag me and tag Otis Bridge, okay? So that's one. So I started my career as a stenographer and then I did other things before I moved into HR, okay? So now if I'm applying for the role of an HR director, or head of HR in a particular organization, I won't go and start talking about my years when I was a stenographer. I will talk about the experience that is relevant to the job that I'm applying. So I will start from when I started the HR profession or practice, okay? So that's what I will share. So when you are asked, tell me about yourself, tell them about your experience that's relevant to the post that you're applying. So as a sales manager now, talk about the sales, depending on the level of the sales manager that you are applying for. If it's a role where you are an individual contributor, tell them about that. If you are required to, maybe you're applying for a supervisory role and you've supervised other people, okay, or as a manager and you've managed a team. So don't just talk about when you are an individual, talk about the team that you managed, okay? That's what will be relevant to the interview at that particular moment. Then tip number 6, so I said 8, so we are number 6 now. So when you're asked, and you will always be asked, why should we hire you? You know, sometimes these interviewers are very funny. They are the ones that place the advert, but they will still ask you, why should we hire you? They place an advert, you responded to it, and they're still asking you, why should we hire you? Okay. So when they ask you that question, they are looking for something. You know, in the first tip, tip 5, I said, when they say, tell me about yourself, you tell them. Okay, you tell them about your work experience. Now, this tip number 6 talks about when you are asked, why should we hire you? This question does not want you to tell. They're not asking you to tell them now. You've told them already, okay, about your experience. Now, what they want you to do is to show them. And how do you, when somebody says show, what do you show? By referring to examples, right? So why should they hire you? You need to show them that you have done what they are looking for. Okay, and how do you know what they are looking for? Based on that job description that you picked up earlier and you did that analysis. You know, I said use the STAR model or STAR framework to analyze what is required. So you need to show them. If it says they are looking for someone who has a degree in sales and marketing, or maybe who is a member of the Challenge of Marketers, okay, UK, and you have that certificate. What do? You need to show them. So you let them know that, okay, that when you were reviewing the requirements for this job, you notice that for one to be successful in this role, they need to be a member of the Challenges of Marketing UK or Nigeria, and that you are an associate member or a full member or even a fellow of that particular. So you are showing them that what they're asking for, you have it, okay? So show them that you have done what they are looking for in the right employee by pointing out what the ideal candidate is expected to do and how you have done it or know how to do it, okay? So let me take that again. So when you're asked, why should we hire you? Show them that you have done what they are looking for in the right employee by pointing out what the ideal candidate is expected to do and how you have done it. So in that job description, it says this is what they want the ideal candidate to be able to do, okay? So you show them and then let them know how you've done it, how you did it. And you've not done it before, okay? You then need to tell them that you have the knowledge how to do it. You know how to do it, even if you've not done it, okay? So tip number 7, which is also very critical. You need to research the company. Don't just go to any interview without researching the company. Research the company extensively, okay? There was one interview I attended at a particular time, and they asked me a very simple question. What is different between a merchant bank and a commercial bank? And I was asking myself, merchant bank, commercial bank, okay? So if I had not done enough research, it would be difficult for me to answer that particular question. Yes, I have seen merchant bank everywhere, commercial bank. I transact with commercial banks. I know commercial bank, what they do. Then now thinking about merchant bank, yes, I have a fair idea of what merchant banks do. But if I had done very deep research, it would be easy for me to just give them bullet point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what the merchant bank does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what the commercial bank does. And this is the difference between a commercial bank and a merchant bank, okay? But if I've not done any research, I will just give a general fluffy answer. Merchant bank is this, commercial bank is that. And then maybe the interviewer will say, no, I want you to give me specific things. What is the specific things that makes these two to be different? Okay, so that is what research will help you do. So research the company extensively. Know their vision, know the vision of that particular organization. What is the vision of the organization? How does it align with your own vision? What is the mission? Like here, the company where I work, our mission is to improve life. Okay, we want to improve life. So how does the work that I'm doing here, how does it contribute to helping us achieve that mission of improving people's life? Look out for their core values. How does their core value relate with your own value? Try to find out who are the people in management. Usually what I do is, if I'm invited for an interview, I will try to research the company, know who is at the top, know the management team members, go to their LinkedIn profile, check out. If I can't find LinkedIn profile, I Google their name just to see if I can find anything about them. Then try to understand the size of the company, okay? So the size of the company will let you know whether this company is big, small. Maybe you are looking for a fast salary. Depending on the size of the company, you will know that, this company, they will not be able to pay this kind of salary that I'm asking for, okay? Yeah, so I'll soon be rounding up. So tip number 8, which is the last one, okay? So whenever you are asked if you have any question, you must always have a question. Don't ever say, no, I don't have a question. You must always have a question, okay? So you then ask, also, what sort of question do I need to ask? The first one is, even if giving you the job description and it's not very clear who you are reporting to, try to find out who you report to. For me, as an example, each time I apply for the role of head of HR in an organization, I prefer to report to the CEO because it makes it easy for me to be able to accomplish whatever goal I need to accomplish in that organization. So what do? I always want to know if I'm reporting to the CEO. If I'm not reporting to the CEO, then it's a deal breaker for me. I might not take that particular job if offered. Then the next thing you also need to ask is if the role is new. If it's new, then fine. If it's an existing role, try to see if they can tell you what happened to the person who was occupying the role before. Maybe the person moved to another role, or maybe the person left the organization. I applied one other organization where I worked. So I noticed that the person who was signing the letter was using the title head of HR, and I'm coming to occupy head of HR. So I have to ask you, I don't understand. This person signed letter as head of HR, and I'm coming to occupy head of. What is happening to this person? Is he going or is he moving to somewhere else? So they had to explain to me, okay, the person has been moved to another role, and so I'm taking over that particular role. And then finally, you need to ask, for one to be successful in this role, what does success look like? So how do I normally do that? I ask that, and then sometimes I try to find out what are the expectations of the CEO or whoever I'm reporting to, okay? So based on that, I'm able to know when I do 1, 2, 3, it means I'm going to succeed. So those are the 8 tips. So I hope you've been able to pick something from that. That's it from me. So except you want me to recap the tips.
I think yes, I think you can just hold your breath a bit.
Okay.
So that yes, I'm sure, because there are questions that would also relate to some of the things that you have mentioned, and then of course if you have to go over then
I can expatiate.
So, yes, thank you so much for that very elaborate piece of information that you have shared. So while you were at it, Mrs. Bankole came in.
Okay.
Yes, so madam, thank you so much for joining us. I know how difficult this is for you to to be part of this today. So and it's only people like you that can trouble you and just get things get you to do this. So thank you so very much. So please let me quickly read our profile for you guys. I don't know how much, madam, do you still have to go join the meeting, or you have the rest of the hour for us, so that I know how to manage the time?
Please say that again.
So do you still have the rest of the time for us to, or I don't know how your time is now?
Okay, no, I have the rest of the time to stay with the group. First of all, I should be apologizing. I am so sorry. This is not my ethics. It's just that things happen and we have to be flexible. But I was certain that my brother, Mr. Emmanuel Michael, would do it justice. So that gave me some reprieve and confidence to do what I had to do. But I apologize to the participants. I apologize to Otis Bridge, and I do apologize to Mr. Emmanuel Michael for putting you in that position.
Welcome.
I caught the latter part of it, and I'm like, right on, bro.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Nice to see you after a long while.
I know.
All right. So please, for the audience, Mrs. Bankole is a cross-functional professional with experience that spans business development, marketing, customer service. So she's a salesperson, for your information. She still sells. So social development and human capital value chain. She has over 22 years experience at local and global organizations with the last 12 years in senior management positions, offering board level advice on people management. Over the decades, she has garnered broad expertise in the following subject matter: change management, organizational culture, diversity, equity and inclusion, performance management, organizational development, learning and development, gender-based economic empowerment, sexual and gender-based violence, and safeguarding. Okay, she is a certified senior professional in human resources, also a full member of Chartered Institute of Personnel Management Nigeria, also a member of Nigerian Institute of Training and Development. She is a certified Ofsted Insight organizational culture professional and a process change management. It's a whole lot. I think because of time, I'll just stop here, so that we can optimize the time that she has for us today. There's something I wanted to say, really. I remember the first time I met Madam NB. I like to call her Madam NB. So for salespeople, because we are in the state, there's a lesson that I want the sales guys to get from this. So I was to make a presentation for a training. She has bought from me before, so you know that I'm a good salesman to have sold something. So she paid me, yes. So I was there, and then we made the presentation to sell a training service to them. And then, so after the meeting, Madam says, "Okay, thank you, Otis Bridge, for coming. Can I go?" I said, just like that. I said, "What about?" In my mind, I said, "What about when we can start the project and all of that. And she said, I said, madam, I was expecting you to say, well done or whatever. I said, no, what you have said is what every other person that came before you have said. So there's nothing different. So in sales, we call that objection. So, and that kind of objection is a drawback. So I said, okay, no problem. So, and then I went into so I had my virtual Pandora box beside me. So I put my fingers and I brought one card, ACE card. So I said, okay, madam. So for this training, there is something we can do to measure the learning, pre and post, and and I was talking all about that. They said, hey, now you are saying something different that I've not heard before. So can you put this in your proposal and send it to me again? Now you have the training. So at the end of the day, we trained about 64 people. So please help me say thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma.
All right, please. So let's know. Can we? Yes. Thank you so much. All right, Madam MD, please, can you go on, please?
Okay, I believe that Mr. Manuel Michael has covered most of the tips. So I thought I would just go, like you said, to manage the time, we'll go straight to the questions and answers. I think from there, in answering the questions, a lot more tips would come up, and things that would align with the world of work and what leaders and human resources professionals are looking for in salesperson. We'll be able to talk through that. What do you think of that, my proposal, that we go straight to the questions? I think we have about 14, thereabout.
Yes.
Because I have to leave again at 1 p.m. I have to leave again.
Okay. So just, so sorry, I didn't get that. I lost.
Okay, I said that I was proposing that we go straight to the questions, and in discussing the questions, then a lot of information will be, at least we'll be addressing issues that will concern most of the people, and then we'll also manage time because I will have to leave at 1 o'clock again.
Okay, that's fine. So let me start off with that. So let me just start off with this first question. What do HR expect to see on one CV and cover letter? Which format of CV is most ideal? I guess this is a general question, so, but that's fine, yeah.
Should I go ahead and take that, or?
Yes, please. Yes, okay, please.
All right. So there are two sets of, let me just use the general term skills. I will not speak human resources here. I'll try and use terms that we can all relate with. So there are what we call hard skills, and of course there are soft skills. So a lot of people, I think, waste opportunities by addressing things that is of no concern to the human resources person who may be reviewing that CV, because we're pressed for time. We're looking at a lot of candidates, and so as humans, especially if you are not using a software, you tend to be understandably short-tempered. You don't have all the patience. So I just need for you to quickly itemize those hard skills and those soft skills that aligns with the role that you're applying for. I caught Emmanuel saying, there's no need for the history. Just go straight to the point, even with your CV. So for me, there are certain CVs that, there are certain roles that you must tweak. Oh, I just read, somebody can't hear. Could I get a message?
But I can hear you. I guess it's from the person. We can hear you.
All right, thank you. So I want to know quickly, what are the industry-specific or job-specific knowledge and abilities that you have? I want to know about the software. Maybe you speak language, other languages, depending on if I want them a northern person. Do you speak Hausa, for instance, which would be an advantage? Do you know the terrain? You can't go in blind. Do you know the terrain? And do you have an idea of the product or the service? Then for the soft skills, it's purely behavioral. So you want to highlight to the HR person that you have good communication skills. These are the skills that are sacrosanct to salespeople. Communication skills, networking skills, emotional intelligence, cultural awareness. So I am less of what is the format in which you are presenting your CV, and more of what is the content and how straight to the point is it. So if you're at entry level, for instance, you don't have much experience, you want to lead with education and maybe volunteer experiences that you've had. You want to highlight on if you've had certifications, for instance, and you want every little thing counts, especially when you don't have that experience. Don't overlook something that you've done, because you never know how it will change, how it will swing things in your favor. But if it's a mid to senior role, then I would advise that you lead with achievements and then followed with experience. And then your education at that time is not as important, only if it's continuous professional development. So I want to know that you're professional, that you're part of a professional body or an accredited professional body and things like that. I'm conscious of time, so I'll stop here.
Thank you very much, man. I think that was very spot on. Let me also look at the next question. Okay, so what are the essential skills that they hope to see? So I guess this person is referring to is there a preference for early applicants in the job opening? So I think there are two questions in one here. Yeah, so you can take that, then I'll go to Emmanuel for the next one. So what are the essential soft skills they hope to see for someone applying for a sales? I think you mentioned a bit of that. Maybe you just want to reiterate that. And then is there a preference for early applicants in job opening?
Okay, I will start with the part B of that question. Is there a preference for early applicants in the job opening? No, what I'm interested in is you can be a bricklayer applying as an early candidate. I wouldn't consider you. So 2 things: does your content, your experience, your knowledge, your skills, your ability, can they meet the role? And then are you applying within the stipulated time? I will find you. I think candidates should understand that human resources personnel are desperate for the right fit, and it's becoming increasingly difficult. I don't want to go into a facilitation mode. It's so sad that we have so many people, graduates, but when it comes to looking for the best fit, it's very difficult. So human resources personnel are desperately looking for the right fit. So coming in early is not as important as being the right fit and then applying within the deadline. Now, what are the essential skills, the essential soft skills that we hope to see as human resources people? 1, communication. Not in order of priority. 2, I would say your networking skills as well. 3, interpersonal relationship. Very important. Emotional intelligence, very important. Cultural awareness. The world is a global village. We're looking for people who can sell across cultures, across sectors. Very, very important. We're looking for people who can write. We're losing the writing culture. Social media is not helping. We don't know how to let words convey, written words convey what we mean. We don't know how to even show, even on the CVs, we don't know how to highlight our achievements, how to showcase it. So I tell people, please, when we have access to internet, let's use it also to learn as well. It's very important. Also, we're looking for people with the soft skill of, can you not only to sell, but are you persuasive? Like, I like what Benga said when he came, I didn't remember that story. So thank you for highlighting it again. I was going to cover my face. I thought I was nasty, but I can see, because as human resources, the value that I add on my role is what I'm giving to my organization. It's not about what I want or what I don't want. So it has to align. So those skills, 6 that I've highlighted for me, I would say are essential, and we can continue to learn and develop them. Learning is continuous, never stop.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Time is running very fast, but let me just jump to the next ones. So Emmanuel, please, why do some HR not give feedback to prospective employees? Kai.
They do give feedback, but they don't give feedback to everybody.
Okay, so why are they selective?
Yeah, so
okay.
For me, I will describe what I do. If maybe I advertise a role and 1,000 people apply and I'm hiring just one person, okay, it's difficult for me to respond to the 1,000. So what some organizations have done is to deploy an applicant tracking system. So if you apply through the system, it makes it easy for the system to automatically send rejection messages. But why send sometimes you can do that. So if you have a system, if you don't have a system, it means you need to manually do it. So if you don't have a system, the focus will then be on the people that you invite to the interview. So if you invited someone to the interview, naturally, I will expect that because the person has attended the interview, you need to give them a feedback. Okay, the feedback might not really convey everything while you are rejecting them. There's a standard, nicely worded message that you can send to those who attended the interview. That is, if you don't have a system, you need to send feedback. And so most times you get, and then for those who are successful, sometimes we have a challenge, okay? Those who are successful, because there are several people who will have to contribute in deciding whether we need to go forward or not. So there could be the top three. The feedback to the top three sometimes are delayed. And so what I do in my own case is, in order to help those, to let them know that we're still considering them. If within you attend the interview, I will tell you that expect to hear from me within 2 weeks. If you don't hear from me within 2 weeks, it could be that you've not been considered, okay? So within that 2 weeks, space of 2 weeks, I try to get back to these particular candidates. If we still need more time, then I will let them know, okay, we still need more time, we'll come back to you at a particular time. So that's usually what happens. For those who don't give any feedback at all, I think that's not a good practice. It's not a good practice not to give feedback at all. So expect feedback within 2 weeks. As a candidate, if you don't hear from the organization within 2 weeks, I will ask that you focus on something else and move on.
So there's a follow-up question that is, seems to be aligned to that. So he's saying, how long should someone keep requesting feedback after an interview? So these guys are salespeople, right? So they like to follow up.
Yeah.
So as they're following up with customers, they want to follow up with the interview. So
the experts are doing that. So for me, I will say 2 weeks. Give it, when you attend an interview, give it 2 weeks. At the end of 2 weeks, if you don't hear from the organization, send a reminder to let them know. But the other thing you can also do immediately after the interview, you can just send a thank you message so that you remain present in the person's mind, okay? And then after 2 weeks, if you don't hear, send a reminder at the end of 2 weeks. If you don't hear from them, move on. That will be my advice.
Okay, thank you so much. So let me
may I quickly add to that, please? May I add to
yes,
that?
please.
Okay,
yes,
so
please.
Also I would like to say that I think that HR people, chiding my colleagues all over the world now, and say that we should be a bit more professional. As at the time you are inviting someone for an interview, it means that the person already scaled the first set of criteria. So it is actually our responsibility to ensure that we give feedback, positive or negative, to the candidates. Now, because there might be so many people, I like to use a caveat to say that if you do not hear from us within so and so period, then please consider that you did not scale. And that gives the person closure. It's very, very important. Thank you. I just thought it's important that I add that.
Yes, yeah, even during the interview, during the main, when you are receiving applications, when you've done the ad, always add a caveat at the bottom to say only shortlisted candidates will be contacted, so that everybody does not expect that they are going to reach out to them.
Exactly.
So if you add only shortlisted, so if you don't get any mail, it means you're not shortlisted.
Yes, I think that was a very good one too. Yeah. So so let me just go to you straight, Emmanuel. Okay. Oh, I think I was coming to MB. So what are the exceptional things to say in a sales interview that will make one outstanding amongst other candidates? Do you want to take that for us, Madam MB?
Okay, I was speaking already. I didn't realize that I'd muted myself.
Oh, okay.
All right, I think this is a context-specific question. So salesperson 1 is different from salesperson 2. Organization 1 is different from organization 2. Product 1 is different from product 2, even within the same sector or service area. So it's a bit the exception, and more importantly, candidates, you don't know what the other candidates are bringing. So how do you intend to stand out? What I believe and what I've always done, even HR people are afraid of interviews. Even me, if you are to interview me now, because what I've done is the only thing I know. So if I'm going through what Google says you should say, we HR people already know that.
Oh.
Since she's having a network problem. So
yes, I think
in addition to what she has just shared, focus on your achievements. That is what is going to set you apart. What have you done during this particular period? What have you achieved? Every organization wants to know that you can add value. So what sort of value have you added? Okay, so that's more like the general before going into the specifics. If you know what the pain area is for this particular organization and how you've been able to tackle that particular pain area, you can highlight it. That could set you apart. She's back, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yes, I am. I apologize for that. Got thrown out. But please continue, Michael. Just to round up, I was saying that it has to be context specific. And so what that means is that, and you don't know who the other candidates are, but what I'm saying is tell your we human resources persons are trained to see the honesty that is coming out. We don't want Google generated answers. We know them, everybody's giving them. So if you can tell your story honestly as it relates to the role, I would take that candidate over and above someone who is trying to, there's an ease that comes with the person who comes across as honest with themselves, knowing their strengths and weaknesses. There's no need to be verbals and, speaking high grammar and, for me, it's not necessary. I seek to connect with the person and to connect with the truth in that person. It's easier for me to work with people like that. I can vouch for people like that. Thank you.
No, for me, this is very profound. This is very profound because in these days of Google, everybody rushes to Google to get tips, to get ideas of how to impress people. So that point that you made for me is very sound and profound. Tell your story. And then, of course, when you are telling your story, people are able to see through your sincerity. For me, that is very, very profound. Because at the end of the day, if people create an impression of who they are not to get into a job, it's only a matter of time. So, but if you present your story, your true self, for people to accept you the way you are means that you will not even have too many struggle keeping the job. That was very profound for me. Thank you so much. Okay, so I guess you will be leaving very soon. Let me throw one more question at you. Why don't we normally have some? I guess this is a personal experience. Why don't we normally have someone from the marketing department during interviewing a salesperson? I don't know. I don't think this is a general practice. Yes. So the person is asking, why don't we normally have someone from the marketing department? So I guess the person is thinking that, or has experienced that every interview is only done by the HR people. So the person feels that maybe the marketing people should be on board, the technical people. Yes.
Okay, just to mention, I've been able to buy a few more minutes, so I'll stay until I can't stay. I'll stay on until I can't stay.
Okay.
well, the question is a bit vague. So in my head, marketing department is different from sales department. But I know that sometimes, most of the time, they're like yin yang, they work together. So who I will expect to be present is the sales department representative. So I would redefine that question and assume that the sales is there, but the person still wants the marketing department to be there. I don't see that as necessary, because ultimately it is the decision and the accountability of the sales team who they bring in on board or as member of the department. So I want to believe that this person wants to reference sales representative and not marketing representative. And look, what I am is human resources. And I always say, I've never had an interview where we have the first one that we screen for behavior. But once we screen for the behavior, then I have to have the experts present, because I am not a salesperson. So the experts in that area, the requesting department representative must be present in that interview. I think it's bad practice. What human resources is supposed to do is look for fit in that person to the organizational culture, look for that it generally meets the candidate's profile as from the requesting department. But when it comes to the technical question, let us also not also go like Google the questions and then give it out to the candidates. So to answer the question, the representative of the requesting department must be present.
Yes, thank you very much. So, Mr. Michael, let me come to you with this one. I'm trying to skip some of the questions, but I think I'm picking those ones that I think are very important. So, what are the key skills needed for C-suite level, C-level, positions?
Okay, so there are several research out there available on what you need, what a C-suite person should have. So I'm going to reference one. I think there's a one from the Wharton Management School or School of Management. So first, you need to have, it's very critical for anyone who is going to be in the C-suite to have some sort of leadership skill. And when I talk about leadership skills, ability to be able to influence and inspire people to get the job done. Because as the leader, you will not be the one doing the job. You get your job done through people. So that leadership skill is key, critical if you need to succeed, okay? So we'll be looking for this person, does he or she have any leadership qualities, okay? That's key. Then number two is communication. Communication is key. There's a general saying that says everything rises and falls on leadership, okay? But leadership rises and falls on communication. So that's key. So if your communication and presentation skill is not good, then you will not be able to succeed, because you need to present, you need to convince the people who are sitting with you on that table so that they can buy into your idea. Change management skill, things are changing. So how do you communicate change? You just wake up and say, okay, this is the change. There's a process for change to happen. So how you navigate through those challenges. Then you should also be a subject matter expert. You must be an expert in a particular area of that particular business. Is very, very key, okay? Then your thinking must be strategic. Don't think for today, think about tomorrow. There were organizations who were prepared for the pandemic. They had prepared long ago. In case something happens, we shut down, we're not able to operate, how are we going to run our business? They were already thinking, having that foresight. So when this pandemic eventually happened, because they had a plan, they quickly switched on that particular plan, and they're able to get things done. Decision making is very key. You discover that when there's a problem or a challenge and the decision needs to be made, I used to have a particular leader, the CEO. Then when a decision needs to be made, this CEO is looking for who will make the decision. The CEO doesn't want to take responsibility. So decision making is key. Emotional intelligence, Mo have talked about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is very key. You need to be aware of what you're doing, how is it impacting the other people, the environment. You know, you need to sense the mood within the environment to determine how you need to go ahead and carry out actions or decisions. Then you need to be, employee development is also key. You need to be interested in the development of the people that work with you, is very key. Then finally, I'll talk about delegation. Okay, you can't do everything by yourself, so you need to identify this is what I need to do, and these other ones we need to give it to the other people. So those are the skills that are required for you to be successful in a C-suite if you are occupying a C-suite role.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I just want to add a few points, you know, for the salespeople. I think what the challenge a lot of salespeople, growing salespeople have actually is, I mean, the one thing that you have mentioned, that most of the success that they have experienced that have put them up for promotion have been the things that they have done with their hands. Okay, so they are the one talking to the customer, they are the one running after the targets, they are the one doing everything by themselves. So somehow they have been considered to be very efficient. But now when they are looking at C-level suits, you are not the one to be talking to customers. So you are going to be managing people that are talking to the customer. So for me, perfect leadership skills. And then another point that I just want to add to that is financial management skills. I see a lot of salespeople run away from that. So the idea is that once you are selling, once you're meeting your target, but you also need to think about profit. Okay, so at the top, they are talking about how profitable is the business. So if you are a salesperson that is just running after target, after making the customer happy, and then not thinking about how happy the company is in terms of profit, then I think there will be a challenge there. And that's why a lot of people find it very difficult, to climb to the zenith of their careers in sales. Okay, so this question I think will be very interesting to MB. So what should a company look out for while employing people between the ages of 25 and 30 years? So what are the things that? Okay, so the person is asking, what should the company look out for while employing young people between 25 and 30? MB, please, do you want to take that for us?
Yes, I'll attempt. I'll make an attempt. What should we be looking out for? I think I'm grateful to be alive to see that I can work in an organization with 4 generations easily and see the synergy amongst those generations and how they interact. And so I wanted to take that question from the perspective of how do you manage them for success? Because it's easier that way. Not what do you look out for in them? You look out for in them the same thing you look out for in any other candidate. But because of the peculiarity of the millennials, or Gen Y as they're called, we see, because that's what the age range falls into. We see that they love flexibility. They love flexibility. And so your employee handbook may actually act as a barrier to performance rather than acting as a support structure for performance. And also, they're very hungry. So I'll say when you do have them, even if it's for a year, they can max it. Believe me, a millennial can give you 1 year of unforgettable experience than a baby boomer can. So it's no longer about tenure. It's not about longevity. It's about the impact. So even if I know, I've seen, forgive me for digressing, Benga, we have to do this again. I have so much to say. Please, the next one, I'll take my time. So much to say, so much to impact. So let me quickly say this.
Yes.
Even if you find a candidate, and I've seen candidates that we know this candidate is not going to stay on, and I'll go to my boss and say, yes, but if this candidate gives me 2 years of the labor, I know that I'm good. Don't be looking for people that will stay forever and ever. You don't necessarily need it. Look for people that will give impact and know that labor is mobile. You can't pay everyone You can't retain them based on pay alone. So you have to make your home so that it's habitable for the millennials, because guess what? They have the technology, they have the know-how, they have the networking, they are global and all of that. So we need them. That's the way I would answer the question.
Hello. Yes. Okay. Hello.
I'm here.
Yeah, she has answered. She's true.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. I was going to add. I mean, there was something that you just mentioned now. That I mean, people like us, you know, as entrepreneurs, that we have had to live with, you know, and that's very, very something that, you know, people in the higher age bands to realize that these young people are very mobile. So, I mean, when we're growing up, you will see people work in one place. People don't work in more than 2 places in their life. You know, you just join the company and then you stay there, you know, come rain, come shine, and then you are part of the system. But, you know, these guys these days, I've seen guys, you know, who just, I mean, 6 months they are tired of the place. And then you are wondering what's gone wrong, you know? So I think that's very important for people to, you know, realize that these young people, they have, I don't know, I mean, whatever it is, that this is the life that we have come to see for this category of people at this age. I don't want to talk too much about them because they know, I think they know better. Okay, so, sorry. Okay. So, so before I go to the last set of questions, I want to ask, is there anyone that has any burning question that you would like to quickly ask? You know, so that I still have a few more questions. Would there be anyone that wants to ask any question on the go now?
They could actually be using the chat box to type in their questions.
Yeah, that's fine.
Take it
Yes,
from there. So that's a
also
faster way, yeah.
Yes.
I can see somebody has dropped something, but I don't know if it's a question or not.
Yes, absolutely. Labor is very mobile now. That's the point. Yes, thank you for the summary, Lillian. Very mobile. So every business has to build that into their structure. So okay, so if you have any question, you could just go ahead and type it in the chat box while I take the few questions that are remaining. So the next one, like, how should a company deal with a non-performing staff?
The long and short answer is cut the person off quickly. That's a long and short. Okay, so if you have a non-performing staff, whilst the law requires that at least for you to let one go, make sure you have enough documentation to show that they are non-performing. And for you to say that an employee is non-performing, you need to ensure that the expectation is clear. So sometimes what I've noticed is that we hire people, we don't even tell them what we want them to do. We give them the job description and ask the person to go ahead and start working. Then after 6 months, we now tell the person, you are not doing well. The problem is that it's with the manager and not with the employee. Okay, because you did not even define for that employee what they need to do for them to know that they're doing well, which is why for candidates or people that I mentor, when they get a new job, I usually insist that they demand from their line managers what they want them to achieve within that 6 months probation or 3 months probation. It should be in writing, not just verbally. To be in writing, they both agree, and you make sure that it's something that you can achieve within that particular period. Because sometimes they can set you some goals that you will never be able to achieve, even if you have 1 year to get that job done. So agree what is it that's achievable. Okay. So that's the first step. You agree that, and then the person goes to work. So at the end of 3 months or 6 months, you don't even have to wait until the end of 6 months. That goal that needs to be achieved, the person can decide to then break it down monthly. Every month, have a conversation with this particular employee and see how far they are going. If they have challenges, then help them to clear the challenge. That's the responsibility of the line manager. Clear the challenges so the person can achieve. Your role as a line manager is to help your people to achieve. So if you've done all you need to do to help them achieve on their own, if they are not doing well, they will run away by themselves. I've had a situation where an employee came to me and said, okay, I want to resign. I say, why? I said, my performance is not good and I don't want to wait until the 6 months and then you give me a letter. So I need to go now. Okay. So because you've set the criteria very clear, so that's what we need to do. If we do that, then it makes it easy to manage people who are not performing well, because they themselves will know that they are not performing and they will offer themselves. Even if when you have that conversation, I had a conversation with one and he said that he has even calculated how much he has brought in, weigh it against his salary. When you look at the profit that the company is making or the income the company is making, that income is not even enough to pay his own salary. You know, what he has collected over that particular period, and that if we ask him to go now, that he's ready to go. So that is what we need to do. Define what you want the person to do, measure them regularly. Don't wait until the end time before you carry out a measurement. Measure regularly, have that conversation regularly, and then that's how you manage. So don't wait until 6 months. If the person is not doing well after 3 months, you might have to let them go.
Yeah. Thank you so very much.
Benga, may I answer that, Benga?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So how should a company deal with a non-performing staff? I think it's very important that we find the root cause of that non-performance. And it could be either of two things, broad categories. It could be internal or it could be external. So for instance, internal would mean, are there competencies skill knowledge
yes, I realize that. MB, we are not hearing you. I guess the network is really bad or fluctuating. If you can hear me.
Have we taken steps to address that? If you do not find the fault, you find that you're
network is playing tricks on us. The network is playing a bad one on us now.
I think she has dropped, right? I can't find her again.
Yeah, the network is playing a bad one. There are quite a number of questions here.
Maybe we'll take another question.
Yes, okay.
I can see some in the chat box, so maybe.
Yes. So I saw, okay, maybe I should just go to the first one. There's a question here. I think for me, there are no two ways about this. This is bad practice. Yes, okay, I think she's back.
She's back.
And yes, we lost you for a bit before I think the internet threw you out. So we didn't get, so maybe you want to quickly
okay, I apologize for that. It's my village people. It's my village people. I apologize for that. All right, so I'll just quickly summarize, and I was just going to type it in the chat. So I was saying, I've talked about internal. I hope we heard that. Those are competencies issue, knowledge, skills, and behavior. And then the external, the most critical, organizational culture, diversity and inclusion. You've employed me, I'm Igbo. I come into the office, everybody's speaking Yoruba. How am I supposed to fit in? So it demoralizes, or is it poor leadership? That's another environmental factor. If the leader cannot bring the best in the follower, then there's really no platform for me to perform. So we should look at those critical areas before we truly say a person is non-performing. Now, if we looked at those and the person is not performing, like Emmanuel said, please quickly say bye-bye to the person, quickly, or else it will be a worm affecting other people.
Yeah, you mentioned the point that I consider very important, and I think a lot of organizations do ignore, the issue of culture. Okay, so a lot of organizations don't pay attention to it, but I've realized that whether they pay attention to it or not, whether they are conscious about it or not, there is a culture. Every organization has a culture. So whether they are paying attention to the culture helping the organization to perform, or is a culture of that is affecting the organization. So somehow, you are the culture expert here. Maybe you want to talk about that. I think for me, it's something very important that a lot of people ignore. They just think it's about the hard KPIs, that your target, how many customers are you talking to? How much are you bringing in? When are you resuming at work? So all of those things, but there are those soft sides of the work, which for me, culture, and all know we understand the popular saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So, but a lot of organizations are not even talking about culture, especially this. I mean, the bigger, of course, the multinationals, they found a way around it. But the smaller ones, somebody, just like you said, somebody is from Igbo, somebody is Yoruba, and then there's a problem, and then it's affecting work. People are not talking to themselves, and and then it goes in and it becomes personal. So I don't know if you want to take a little time to talk about that a bit,
Wow, culture is a whole. I'm afraid that
just summarize the summary.
Unfortunately, what is going on is that I can see my bar, and I've had to stop. But if you can look at the background, you can see that I'm on the road. I just had to borrow someone's office, and the connection is pretty bad there. I think culture is a whole new series that we can explore some other time, and it's beyond what the plaques that we put on our walls. This is who we are: integrity, teamwork, and no, that is not your culture. That is some picture that you've put on the wall. When I come to your office, from the gate, I can tell what your culture is. From the attitude of your receptionist, I can tell what your culture is. From the way you attend to me, the way you speak, the way people are working, the way they're looking, I can tell what your culture is. So culture are those values that you don't have to speak them, they speak for themselves. And you said it, it is not, even if you think you don't have a deliberate culture, you have a culture anyway. That is where people, that is on which people are thriving or not thriving if it's a negative sort of culture. Now you have your own mission and vision and all of that. You now have to find the culture that will support that mission and vision. What is the relationship between leadership and the subordinates in the office? Even if you're on a first name basis, do you encourage gossip? How do you treat when it comes to discipline? Do you take it seriously, or you say no, we'll push that under the carpet because a senior person is involved? What is your tolerance for harassment, for instance, and a whole gamut of things? What is your focus? Are you internally directed or externally directed? So those are the things. And what is your motivation? How do you motivate your Benga? You don't want me to go into this. I'm trying to rush it, but we can do a whole new thing on it. Yes.
The time just flashed in my face, and I saw 122. Oh my goodness! But I mean, just to buttress what you're saying, there's a question here that I think also bothers some culture. So the person is saying, why would HR invite a candidate for a third interview only to send a mail 2 days before the interview that it has been rescheduled? You carried out investigations 3 weeks afterwards and discovered that the role has been filled. Why does HR do this?
No, that is not HR that is doing it. One particular person has decided to compromise their integrity. And I don't know why you can't tell a person that a role has been filled. A role has been filled, the role has been filled. Now, I also want people to understand that human resources function manages the management of the organization. So let's say, for instance, if the leadership has said, you know what, that room closed if I found the person. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. But on the truth, you should always stand. So what that person should have done in that situation is to communicate to the candidates to say, oh, I apologize, but the role has been filled. It can't be a secret. The person will find out. Ultimately, just apologize and say the role has been filled. But again, I'm quick to say it is not HR that has done that. It's one person that has decided to compromise their integrity.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think we have really shot beyond the time. So I'm just going to take one question for Emmanuel. Okay, so I think she will just use this question to wrap up. How can one quickly and easily move up the career ladder in sales, especially if he finds himself in an organization that is not promoting or rewarding excellent performance, but instead is more tribalistic?
Okay, so for me, what I will advise is wherever you find yourself, whether it is an environment that is toxic, like they've described, try to catalog what you are doing, okay? Because you are a salesperson, it means that you are expected to be bringing in business. So what is the target that is set for you and what are you bringing on board? If you have that list of achievements, if the organization where you are working does not have opportunity for you to grow, to rise to a higher level, then you can also look outside. Okay? There's nothing stopping you in looking outside, because sometimes the organization where we're working might be saturated. You've gotten to the limit and that's the max that you can get to. You can still grow and then grow by growing outside. Okay. So you look out for other opportunities outside that particular establishment, but make sure you have a record of what you've achieved in this particular organization where you are working. That is something that will help you to be able to get a higher role. And then in addition, you need to invest in yourself. You know, sometimes we stay and say we want the organization to train us. Organizations will only train you for what they want you to do for them. Okay, so if you are aspiring to a leadership role and you are currently just an individual contributor in that organization, expose yourself to trainings that will enable you to acquire the skill to be able to manage a team, manage the business. So in leadership training, there's a particular program that I run, talks about leading yourself, leading the team, and leading the organization. So if you're only good at leading yourself, you cannot lead a team, then you will not be able to get a supervisor role. If you are given a supervisor role, you will just fail because you don't know what it takes to be able to lead a team. And then you want to see yourself at the C-suite, it means you'll be leading the organization. So you also need to know what it takes to lead managers of managers. What does it take to do that? Expose yourself to that kind of development. When you do that, it then prepares you to be able to function at that particular level. You will not be reasoning at the lower level. Your reasoning will now be at a higher level. When you make contribution at engagements or meetings, people will say, wow, this person is talking like someone who is a CEO of an organization. Let's get them on board to come and manage our business for us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so very much. So I'm just going to ask, okay, yes. So I'm just going to ask Andy to round up for us, if you, your parting words, because I think we've done 30 minutes beyond the time, and I'm so lucky that we could catch you still beyond this time. Yes, thank you. So do you have some parting words for us as we round up?
Okay, I would say, I'm assuming that is directed at me.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So I will say two things. Always to thine own self be true, especially when it comes to interviews. I've seen people get jobs when they say, I am not sure about that, or I don't know. That's one. Secondly, make yourself uncomfortable in your present comfort zone. That bigger role, that next challenge is not made for a person who is necessarily ready for it, but made for a person who wants to take it on. So do not be afraid.
Thank you so much. Emmanuel, you have some parting words for us?
Okay, so I will say that we are all salespeople, and as you can see, we're all salespeople here. As a salesperson, you need to make sure that you are ever ready to sell your products. And one thing you need to tap in is the emotion. You know, when you sell, you try to appeal to the emotion of the people that you are selling to. So try to find out what is that thing that will give them a good feeling about you as a candidate. Okay, identify what it is, and then that's what you sell to them, and you'll be picked for that particular job role. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Honestly, I don't know how to say thank you, but I will just say thank you so much for spending this time with us. Madam Debbie, today is Michael's birthday, actually, so we've done a shout out to him earlier. But yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Baba triplets, you know. Yeah, so I wish you, yes, Emmanuel, so Emmanuel is someone that, ladies need to be careful. A simple handshake can lead to
3.
All right, and to Madam Andy, thank you so much for sparing your time. We really appreciate this, and I'm sure, I've seen quite a number of people asking for the recording of this. And then, of course, I also heard you very well, and I've taken notes that you said that we can do this again. So I'm going to look for, sometime I'm going to come after you and look at your free time so that we can do this again. So thank you so much, to our guests and everyone. I can see you, please help me to say thank you to them for doing this for us, for sparing their time. And I'm also sure that you can connect with them on LinkedIn. And then, of course, tell them that you met them on Sales Jojo. And then, of course, you can, still, get 1 or 2 questions that we have not been able to answer today, for them to answer. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this month. It's also good for me to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because I don't think we're going to have another one in December. I'm not sure yet, because I know everybody's going to be in a jollity mood. All right, so thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
I don't know if someone was raising a hand, but I think we are due to go home. I think I saw that someone was raising a hand. I don't know if the person is still around. But anyway, thank you, everyone. So hope to see you again when we call this off at another time. So I wish you all a pleasant day. And a beautiful weekend ahead.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. So where's the party, Emmanuel?
It's already happening. Cakes are being shared. Cakes are being shared. It's already happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Yes, bye. I know you can do like that. You know I'm just that type. No, them no pick you my vibe. Them no pick you, them no pick you, them no pick you my wise man said, follow the stars. Yeah, you shall find a piece of my life. If you hit your enemies shine. If you're not a friend of me, enter the light. But you can never kill my vibe. Got here with no sacrifices. Everything was taken, still had to make it. Vibe killer, me I no go take shit. Vibe killer, bloody somebody that protect my energy from your bad aura. Then my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go receive my rhythm, flow like a river. If you get yawa, come on go and sit down. I go just para, come off my jigger. I go just follow my lead. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, them no fit kill my vibe. Them no fit kill my vibe. You no fit kill, you no fit kill, you no fit kill my vibe. I see you watching my stories.
I see you gauging my lifestyle. I see you watching my movements. This bad bitch bad every day. I know they look at your face. Bad man bad every day. Get on your knees and pray. Do you regain your faith? Love is somebody that protect my energy from your bad aura. Let my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go to see my rhythm flow like a river. If you get sour, come on, go and sit down. I go just para, come out my jigger. I go just follow my dream. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, don't kill my vibe. You know fi kill my vibe. You know fi kill, you know fi kill, you know fi kill my vibe.
London.
I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, them no fi kill my vibe. Them no fi kill my vibe. Them no fi kill. Them no fi kill. Them no fi kill my. Wise man said, follow the stars. There you shall find a piece of advice. If you hit your enemies, enemies shine. If you're not a friend of me, enter the light. Cause you can never kill my vibe. Got here with no sacrifices. Everything was taken, still had to make it. Vibe killer, me I no go take shit. Vibe killer, love is somebody that protect my energy from your bad aura. Let my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go to see my rhythm flow like a river. If you get it, come on, go and sit down. I go just para, come off my jigger. I go just follow my dream. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, them no fi kill my vibe. Them no fi kill my vibe. You no fi kill, you no fi kill, you no fi kill my vibe. I see you watching my stories. I see you gauging my lifestyle. I see you watching my movements. This bad bitch bad every day. I know they look at your face. Bad man bad every day. Get on your knees and pray. Do you regain your faith? Love is somebody that protect my energy from your bad aura. Let my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go to see my rhythm flow like a river. If you get sour, come on, go and sit down. I go just para, come off my jigger. I go just follow my dream. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, don't fi kill my vibe. You no fi kill my vibe. You no fi kill, you no fi kill, you no fi kill my vibe.
London.
I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, them no fi kill my vibe. Them no fi kill my vibe. Them no fit kill, them no fit kill, them no fit kill my wise man said, follow the stars, yeah you shall find a piece of advice. If you hit your enemies, enemies shine. If you're not a friend of me, enter the light, cause you can never kill my vibe. Got here with no sacrifices, everything was taken, still had to make it. Vibe killer, me I no go take shit. Vibe killer, bloody somebody that protect my energy from your bad aura. Then my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go receive my rhythm, flow like a river. If you get sour, come on go and sit down. I go just para, come off my jigger. I go just play, follow my dream. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, them no fit kill my vibe. Them no fit kill my vibe. You no fit kill, you no fit kill, you no fit kill my vibe. I see you watching my stories. I see you gauging my lifestyle. I see you watching my movements. This bad bitch bad every day. I know they look at your face. Bad man bad every day. Get on your knees and pray till you regain your faith. Bloody somebody that protect my energy from your bad aura. Let my pastor say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go receive my rhythm, flow like a river. If you get sour, come on go and sit down. I go just para, come off my jigger. I go just play, follow my dream. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm a ticking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know